Hi guys, thanks for being here. Welcome to the Roleplayer's Prerogative. We're going over D&D meets MTG again, and this is going to be the big reveal for the campaign that I had created. There's a campaign document attached below. It's Swamps of Ravnica. It's a story called Witch Hunt. It's a very detailed document. While I was creating that document, I realized that there were going to be a lot more other questions that I didn't cover fully in the Chapter 0 video, so we're going to jump right into it right here, okay? So first thing is that I wanted to let Carlos Castillo know, thanks so much for the feedback on the video, and the castle that you requested, when it comes down to campaigns, like there's maybe specific planes in Magic the Gathering that I'll visit upon request and create a campaign for. Getting so specific on what you were asking for, the next campaign that I'm going to release out here probably within the next like 2 weeks has to do with a castle, so to speak, but it's going to be from a little different perspective. Either way, I think you'll enjoy that one all the same. So alright, so one of the first things I'm going to get into is how I made the map. So if you guys watch Chapter 1, the Chapter 1 video, the really bad video of our first campaign, okay, when we sat down and played the game and gave it a test run, the way that I made that map, if you guys see, I literally took like the boxes that, I took cereal boxes, okay, turned them inside out. I took a giant piece of cardboard and laid it down, okay. I drew things on it. I took the pieces of the cereal box, I drew stuff on that, I cut them into squares, and I put them on the map as they discovered them or as they learned about information and where they should be on the map. And when it came down to creating the dungeons, I had like my own, in the DM manual I had what the overall map looked like, and then I had the individual pieces, different shapes and sizes cut out, again just cereal boxes turned inside out, and I drawn on them to make like hallways, right, that connected together in certain ways. And so then as they were exploring, you know, so say they moved their NPCs to the end of a hallway where it came to a T, okay, and then all of a sudden I would put the rest of the hallway there because they could see what's to the left and right and what's in front of them, you know. Then when they go into a room, I put down the part of the room that has the map, of the map that has that room that they walked into, which also has drawings on it. And then I describe to them what certain things are on the map and how they look, how they interact with them, etc. And you're going to see that in the very detailed document that I posted below. It's 19 pages, Witch Hunt. The first MTG meets, the D&D meets MTG campaign that I did for Chapter 1, now in very detailed graphic fashion as a Dungeon Master guide. Okay. Alright, and so the trick to putting together campaigns overall, to putting together your own campaigns, is work with what you have. I worked with what cards I have. Literally, I looked through my cards, said, oh, that would be cool, and it's, you know, based on the artwork or the backstories that I researched, the lore that I had read on the different planes and creatures in Magic the Gathering. So work with what you guys have. Carlos Castillo, again, I want to address you. I would recommend, since you have never dungeon mastered before, pick any one of the, go to YouTube, search, you're already on YouTube, search Acquisitions Incorporated, PAX, P-A-X, and put in, you know, 2013 or just anything, whatever comes up. If you watch that, you'll see a really good dungeon master at work, and it'll give you an idea of how flexible and fluid you should be as you are playing this game and how open to creating the characters for your players. It'll give you a good idea of how, and it's really entertaining. It's addictive as all to watch. So I would definitely recommend that. Okay, so when I am back to creating campaigns. When I'm creating a campaign, there are two questions that I ask myself. Okay, the first one is what interests me. All right, when it came to Ravnica, it was all of the like artifacts and the lore that I had read about the the vampires and the guild gates and stuff like that that made me interested in that. How the Orzhov syndicate is sort of involved in all of the layers of commerce all over Ravnica. Also, just understanding how planeswalkers work in the first place. So, with Liliana Vess, she gives sort of a, I mean, just looking at the artwork on her card, she gives a demonic and enemy sort of feel. So it was really easy to make her the main enemy of Witch Hunt. And so, you know, that's where it came into researching lore. The second question I asked myself is, again, what cards do I have? And then based on what cards I have, it limits sometimes what planes I can have, or what plane I put my story in. So when I was looking through my cards, I had a lot from the, what was it, the Magic 11 and 10 and 11 series, as well as a lot of artifacts from Ravnica. I had a lot of vampires from the Ravnica series. I also had a lot of Eldrazi stuff, so I considered doing an Eldrazi campaign. Super epic, right? So that was, you know, that's what limited this first campaign to those cards. Okay, this next part of this video is breaking down further into the mechanics. Okay, how D&D and MTG, how I've blended them together. Okay, so first of all, equipment. As many of you are familiar, in Dungeons and Dragons, your characters have equipment, whether it's swords, whether it's plate mail, armor, etc. Any of that you find, feel free to use a Dungeons and Dragons guide, okay, for equipment, alright? But when it comes to like equipment artifacts and equipment cards that you can equip in battle for Magic the Gathering, I treat those as though they are the actual equipment, okay? They still have to tap 2 mana to equip it to themselves. Then they write it that they have it equipped. They need to realize that they always have that equipped, or, you know, that they have it in sheath, etc. You are bringing the equivalent of Magic the Gathering into a Dungeons and Dragons world, right? So they can equip those as personal equipment. And then, of course, it's like, so if it was 4 on the attack, well, when the battle mechanics are reflecting Magic the Gathering. So it works just like it would in a Magic the Gathering battle. Now, all of a sudden, you can tap yourself or attack for 4. Whereas normally you wouldn't be able to. That's why you have creatures and spells. You see what I'm saying? So, so to keeping that in mind, you have a character sheet. Therefore, characters have an inventory. All right, which brings me to how I view decks. Okay, so a character's deck. All right, let's say we've got a dungeon master and I am a player in D&D meets MTG. My deck is a physical representation of all of the spells that I know. All of them. All of the spells that I know. And not including the ones that, like, special abilities or spells that are on a character sheet. Okay? Because you may have those too. Certain classes may, you as a dungeon master may have decided to give your players access to D&D skills and spells. Or for them to treat certain cards like cantrips or something like that. You know, it's to your discretion, you know, but since we're all sort of just creating and exploring this together, we need to pool our resources, and, you know, I'm thinking about finding a proper forum for us to all go to so we can talk about this further as well, besides just the videos. But deck representation, like I said, is your full knowledge of Magic in the Magic the Gathering realm, okay? So, with that in mind, if that's your deck, what you have in hand is what you can recall mentally, or what it occurs to you that you can cast in the heat of battle. You see what I'm saying? So, I've been, let's say I'm a planeswalker. I've been studying Magic and the Magic the Gathering universe for 10 years, and I've learned over 60 spells, okay? And you've got this huge deck. But in the heat of battle, with what mana I have available, it only occurs to me that right now I can cast Fireball because it's in my hand. Or I can summon this creature or that creature because it's in my hand. Adrenaline pumping, this is what it occurs to me I can use. And that's why it limits your mechanics, and that's also why it's so significant when people play cards together. Alright, so that brings me to player actions. So as you're going around the table with initiative, even if it's like in a diplomatic sort of situation, like mid-combat, okay? A player has actions. They can take whatever actions their mana can dictate. So let's say they had an action like, a character can move up to 25 feet in one particular action span. So because of that, they can move their 25 feet, and in that 25 feet they can cast, let's say they had 5 mana available, and they were going to use it to cast 3 different spells, 2 creature spells in an instant. They can do all 3 of those within that 25 feet, and it's one action during a combat action, because of the way we are fleshing together D&D's rules for combat actions during after you roll initiative, enter in combat phase, plus what combat phase is also dictated as in the Magic the Gathering rules, if that makes sense. Okay, so summoning creatures outside of battle. Okay, this has been my thing since I did this, was that you could only summon creatures, you cannot summon creatures outside of battle. The only time you can, okay, is if someone was going to do so for utility. For instance, let's say they had 5, we're outside of battle, we are trying to figure out a puzzle or trying to get into a certain door, and it requires a weapon. And I'm a wizard, so I don't have a weapon, I don't have one equipped, I don't have one in my hand, I don't have one in my inventory. But what I do have is a very large bear creature that, or a oversized troll or a giant Goliath creature, all right, and I've got 5 mana to summon it. As a DM, I would allow a player to summon that creature for utility. The creature will come out onto the plane of battle, just like they would. No summoning sickness, so to speak, because the timing on sequences isn't so rigid outside of battle, okay? But that mana is going to stay tapped until they're the beginning of their next combat phase. You see what I'm saying? Or until the next rest. During their until the next time when they would untap their mana, that 5 mana that they just tapped to bring out that creature is going to stay that way. So that's how I would handle summoning creatures outside of battle. It needs to be for utility. Alright, and the last mechanic that I'm going to cover before I say goodbye and let you guys loose on the first campaign for D&D meets MTG is the Death Touch. There are a lot of creatures that have a Death Touch ability, okay, a lot of cards. So if they are attacking a player, the way that I do handle the Death Touch mechanic is it halves your health. So let's say you had 20 health, you get in a battle with a creature, you don't have any creatures out to defend yourself, and you get attacked by something that has a Death Touch, you went from 20 health to 10 health. Okay, let's say you draw a card, the next combat phase goes around, you still don't have a creature or something out to destroy that creature or block it, and it attacks you again. You now go from 10 health to 5 health. Okay, so that's my way of making Death Touch still very dangerous to players and planeswalkers, but not so drastic that it doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Because there's a reason why Death Touchers don't kill you when they attack planeswalkers in the first place, if I'm correct in that. So that's the Death Touch mechanic and how it works versus players as opposed to creatures, summoned creatures, and NPCs. So you guys have at it. The link is below. We've got 2 links to lore that's not vital, but that would be good for dungeon masters to brush up on before they dive into this campaign. One on Liliana Vess, one on the Orzhov syndicate, and then the Google Drive link below is to the campaign document that I've created for you guys to go out and venture into the world of Magic the Gathering in a proper tabletop role-playing fashion. So like, subscribe. I'm sure that even though you guys are here for tabletop games, at this particular link we have tons of content on Hohenheim Productions. I encourage you to subscribe. I'd love it if you do, and I look forward to seeing you guys for our next video, which I should have the next campaign up in about 2 or 3 weeks. So post plenty of comments and questions for me below to address in the next video when I reveal our second campaign. I'm very excited about it. I'm even more excited about campaign number 3, guys. So give this one a test run. Let me know how it goes. I'm excited. Boom. Let's do it. Venser is a planewalker that specializes in time and plane magic, like that teleportation and stuff like that.
I am Lydia Greenrose, your ice magic professor.
If I remember correctly, the gate or whatever that he created
for the inclusion of lighting. It's hard to learn ice magic, but I'm sure you will be great at it.
If I remember.
And I'll always offer a hand if you need it.